From the harbour lights of Carrick to the shores of far away, every heart beats Rangers, every soul will proudly say, we're the voices in the terraces, the hands that build the dream. Now the people own the Rangers, we're the lifeblood of the team. From Carrick to the mountains, to the cities around the globe, our colours fly together and the black and amber glow. People's club forever, we'll sing it loud and true. Carrick Rangers owned by all, the best for me and you.
Hello everybody. Hello Chris, how you doing?
All right, John, how are you?
I'm good. Big thanks to Kurt Krogan for our intro song. We wanna make sure that's we put credit where it's due for the song "The People's Club." Yes, thank you, AJ. He puts also a little notes at the bottom. So we wanted to make sure because it's a great song. We're happy to have it and use it on our podcast on every week. So let's get into this this hour. It's gonna go fast. We have a big guest on our show this week. But first, always last week's match against Coleraine. So if we can do a quick check on the highlights. I cut it short for all the goals. And we started well with the goal on the set piece. That corner kick, very strong. Lecky always the man. Since his return, he's been really good. Very helpful for us.
It's our giant. He really helps us so much. He opens up the game a lot.
Yeah, I would say the first 45 minutes, the first half was really good. I really liked the way we tried to create the offense. And then second half, they really pushed. They really put us on the heels.
Yeah, we had a couple chances there. Aiden Harris made a really good big save for them.
Yeah, our set pieces, we were good on set pieces. We were very dangerous. And then after the 1-1, I think we kind of lost momentum and the focus. It happens often when I noticed when we're leading 1-0, they come back 1-1, and then big defensive mistake on this one.
Yeah.
And then we're trying to come back at 2-2 towards the end in the last couple minutes of the match, and quick counter. It's deadly against us. It's another thing that's one of our weaknesses, those counters.
Yeah, we started pressing up there, trying to get a goal, and leaves yourself open quite a bit.
Yeah, and the result 3-1. I didn't need to put Stephen Baxter interview today because obviously we're kind of short on time. But let's talk a little bit about the performance on Saturday and the overall so far of this almost half of the season, since it's almost there.
Yeah, I think for me, a great Christmas present would be if this club could pay 90 minutes a full game of really quality football. They seem to have lapses. The thing that concerns me, this is a stat I like, and I know you're real analytic, so I don't know if you agree or not, but like in college football, a big thing about, you want to have the most plays ran. That's a big deal because the more plays you run, the more you're going to score. So that's a big stat in time of possession. In this game, and it's been a running theme this year, we were almost more than doubled. They almost more than doubled us on dangerous attacks and attacks. And also, once again, when we had a lead, they had 66% of the possession. And, I thought against Linfield, our buildup looked a lot better, even though we lost as a quality opponent. It's a good opponent, too. Don't get me wrong. But I think it's just been a running theme with possession and the style we play. So,
yeah. And no, I agree with you. It's a great stat. I like to use also one of the shots. Total shots is also another good one that I like in football, soccer football. It's very important because it kind of shows you, okay, how many opportunities did we really have, because sometimes you can have 60% possession and one shot versus. So overall, it's true that we played good, but our chances were low. That's the reality of like you mentioned, our chances, opportunities were kind of low, and that's going to be a struggle, especially when we play against those strong teams like Coleraine. They're very, very strong. They've been strong since the beginning. I would say they're one of the strongest teams with Larne and Linfield, or those three. It's always very difficult to play. But I felt like the first 45 minutes, we show them that we can play and we can score. We were dangerous many times, and then I don't know what happened in the second half. I think it happened too many times. Too many times where we're leading 1-0. I'm not talking about strong teams. I'm talking about teams that are definitely at our level, where they come back 1-1, and then all of a sudden, like the momentum, the focus, they lose, and then counters is so deadly. That's one of our biggest weaknesses.
Yeah, I will. It has been a constant theme, so I don't try to make excuses for them. But I do know from what I heard, they had trouble the whole week training. There was an illness going around the team. So, and I know they were even worried about having enough to field a team. So, I mean, this is a long thing going on with the form, so I don't want to just pinpoint one game. But I mean, I know I do give him a benefit of the doubt, and they do appear to play hard for him, from what I see. And so I give them a lot of credit to those lads going out there and cutting it out. Because I know when you're sick like that, it could be stamina, could be part of the reason the second half they wore out quicker. That can happen.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I love the performance that they put against those teams, professional teams, very strong. I mean, it's never easy when you're kind of semi-professional versus the full build. They train every single day, and I liked it. I liked it. Even against Linfield, I liked it. It's just always a little bit disappointing when you're leading and you cannot hold to that lead or even keep it to the 1 point. A point is very valuable when you start thinking about all the games where we were leading and we ended up losing. It's not even time. We just lose. So that's easily like 4 or 5 points already. That's 5 points puts us in 9th place. So it
makes a big difference. Yeah, everything's so tight at that bottom part of the table that that's one of the things Michael's been preaching to all of us too. That try to be patient, because a couple wins here, things can change real quick.
Yes. Any other comments before we bring on our guests?
I'm sure our guests, it's been a rough week for them. I do know, I've seen a lot of stuff, and I'm sure that'll be addressed with Peter tonight. There has been a lot more frustration. It feels like the honeymoon period is ended. And I know, I can tell you that I do know that the people with the club, they hurt and they're not happy just like us. So they're just like us when it comes to this. So I'm sure Peter will elaborate on that more.
So let's bring on our special guest for this week. Hey, Jay.
Yep. There he is.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Jean.
Hey. All right. How are you doing, Peter?
Yeah, great. Thank you for hosting me tonight. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being on. I know it's late there, just like when we had Jody on a few weeks ago. I know everybody's been looking forward to it anytime we have somebody from the club on, from staff, and
absolute pleasure. And it's not that late, so it's perfect. So it is. So, and if it runs longer than an hour, I'm okay as well. I would rather actually, and I would rather that we give the answers to the hard questions and any questions rather than duck or dive, because I think everybody's hurting, and I heard both of you there speaking, and everybody's hurting, and that's actually a good sign. So it is. See, when you see the players' reactions at the end of the game when they're hurting, and I've been involved in football a long time, and sometimes you see players walking off at the end of the game and they're already on their phones, seeing what's going on, and our group of lads, it's not like that at all. So that's one positive.
Absolutely. And let's kick it. Let's get it right into it, because an hour less. Like now it's 50 minutes. Goes fast. let's give us a little bit of intro for the people that don't know much about you. Just, I would say 5 minutes, especially towards the club. Well, how did you start with the club, and where you at now?
Yeah, so I'm a local. I'm born and bred in this town, so I've lived here 60 years, and I was lucky enough to be to see when we won the Irish Cup back in 1976, 50 years anniversary this year. A big moment as well, and something that will be discussed at the investors visit and summit. But you know, born and bred here, always followed the team. Took a bit of time out of watching the team back in the 90s, and I had taken on a career. I'd got a young son, and I traveled a lot with the company I worked for, globally about 45 weeks a year. So always get back at the weekend, and it was like, what should I do with my son? And so, we went back to watching football when he was the age of 4. And actually, for those who don't know, my son's actually the person who interviews the manager at the end of the game. And so,
it makes sense now.
Yeah.
So we're wondering.
That's a tough job.
So yeah. And he's given free rein. So again, one of the things we do is we divorce ourselves. So he asks whatever questions he wants to Stephen. There's no restriction, and any manager or any person, the media team have free rein to ask any question. So it is, because I don't like us to be involved. So that's where I got involved back into Carrick Rangers as a fan. And we've not the biggest fan base, but I tell you what, we have a fantastic fan base. I was able to travel around the world and even at the age of 5 and 6, be sure that my son could travel with the fans. And I know the Besser family traveled up with our fans the last time we played at Coleraine, and I could leave my son with them, and they would look after him. So back in, Michael Hughes, an ex-international footballer, bought the club in 2011. So he did, and in 2012-13, he asked me to join the board. And then 2013-14, I actually took over the role of chairman. And then, we were up and down between the championship and the premiership. And, there wasn't a great strategy. Michael had great vision, so he had, but not a long-term strategy. So we could relegate it, so we did. And then at that time, I asked, would he like me to buy him out of the club? And so I bought the club. So I did. And a very, very simple story, but very short. So when we did that year, so it was in July, I bought the club. And obviously we had just been relegated. We had no manager, we had no management team, and we had 0 players signed. So we had. So that's,
I already have so many questions, but go ahead.
Yeah. So
0 players.
Yeah, 0 players signed. There was a different strategy, and that's why I said at that time there was a different strategy from Michael and the ownership. So in the matter of 3 weeks, we put a management team together. We put 20 plus players together, and we drew our first game. We could beat the next 4 games, and it's relevant to what I said earlier. And we actually get beat by, I think it was Dundela, 4 or 5-0 after the 5th game. And I watched the players' reaction coming out of the changing rooms, and they were really, really hurting. And I turned around and said to the vice chairman, I said, we'll be okay. And we actually came second that league to Larne, and we actually went through the playoffs and got promoted. And so far we've been there ever since. So there is a correlation, and that's why I say it's interesting when you see what the impact is of the players, how they're reacting. And you made a good point earlier, so we did, about they are fighting for the manager, they're fighting for the team, they're fighting for the club. There's no one is in any way not there and not giving 150%. And that's where again, as a chairman, you've got to look at it in different ways, and you've got to see all of the different messages, if you understand. And I'm not a person, and I know I'm digressing a little bit, but I'm not a person who says the buck stops with the manager. Actually, the buck doesn't stop with the manager. The buck stops with me. I'm the chairman. I employed the manager. I supported his selection of the management team, and I've helped him negotiate the players. I really don't like when chairmen sort of leave the manager out there exposed as if he's it. That's very, very unfair. So it is. The buck stops with me. It's my fault. We are where we are because of what we have done so far. And that doesn't mean to say we don't have the right strategy, we can give all sorts of excuses. We can turn around and say players have been injured, this, that. You know, they're facts, they're excuses. The reality is, you know, we have to do better as a club, and there's no illusion on that. So there isn't, and that's where I take responsibility. It's not the manager's responsibility; it's my responsibility, and it's my responsibility to put it right. And how I put it right, there's different variations of how that could happen, but it's my responsibility, and the buck really stops with me, not with the manager.
And can you tell us a little bit about the arrival of Michael into the story and in the big picture?
Yeah, just a little bit of history into that. So, you know, as I say, I bought the club, we steadied the ship, we got promoted, we were doing okay. You know, we were slowly building the bricks. You know, it's like everything. It's like any business. You've got to go in, you've got to fix the bits that are wrong, you've got to stabilize, and then you've got to look and say, well, how can I grow? And the reality is, and I know the demographics of Northern Ireland is not well known. We have 1.75 million people, so we have, you know, one of your small towns would be bigger than our whole country. So you know, you've got to put everything in context. And where we are based, we have probably 6 or 7 Premiership teams within a stone's throw. So our fan base is always going to have a certain limitation. Now, we're still working on it through our academy, which will develop results over time. So there's no point in me looking. If I want to do something different, there's no point in, you're not going to do it locally. So as it happened, you know, so I had a strategy that we would look for an investor. It was probably another 1-2 years out in my mind. So it was. And then there was a person who I'm friendly with who happened to be in contact with Michael. And Michael had obviously done his research and had a list of clubs that he was interested in. So we actually got on a call. I was actually in business in Hungary. And we spent an hour, the first hour, and we didn't talk about football. So we didn't. We actually talked about the community. Because, you know, I think in all the things that you've seen probably that we publish, we really are a community-oriented club. You know, and we will always be a community-oriented club. We value the community. We want to be involved in the community. We do. There's lots of things we publicize, and then there's lots of things that we do regardless because it's the right thing to do. And I'll give you one simple example. So a couple of weeks ago, Stephen went out to visit. We have one of our fans is 94, 95 years of age. He's been a fan since almost the club was formed. You know, he's a little bit elderly. He struggles to get to the games. We've actually modified part of the ground so he can come to the games when possible. You know, and Stephen will go out and spend an hour or two with him with one of the other board members, Adrian. You know, we don't publicize those things, but that for that person, you know, is really, really important for him. You know, and he's been with the club for all his life. You know, and again, there's a lot of other activities that are around the club that really we don't publicize, but we should also recognize because we are a community club and we love and we value that. So back to what your question was, Michael we chatted for an hour about the community. We talked about all that. We didn't talk much about the football. Then we had another meeting a few weeks after it, and then we talked about the strategy of the club. And so luckily enough, I come from a corporate company. Michael comes from obviously a corporate company. So our communication, our language, our understanding of what we wanted to achieve was pretty similar. So it was, you know, and I actually don't care if I own 0.5% of the club, 0% of the club. I'm a fan first and foremost. And Michael also was interested in the community. He was interested in the club. He was interested in the opportunity, and he loved our vision, because we don't want to be like other clubs. In our strategic vision, I'm talking about now. Obviously, we want to win cups and competition and all those things, but strategically, we want to think differently. We want to grow our fan base outside of Northern Ireland. We wanted to do different things, and Michael and me hit it off. And then a very, very simple story. He was actually to fly to Northern Ireland, and I'd actually flown in from, I can't remember, Asia, and I'd landed in Dublin, and I was driving up to Belfast, which is about 120 miles, to meet him. So I arrive in Belfast only to find that Michael's flight has been cancelled and he's in Dublin. So I turn back around and I drive 120 miles back the way, collect them to drive them 120 miles back again after flying for 14, 15 hours from Asia. So we had a few beers, we chatted, we had a lovely dinner, and it was quite clear, I was quite confident, although Michael had other options, that really our vision was pretty much aligned. And again, we were a good fit. And it was important for me, much as we wanted to have someone come and give us different expertise and different understandings, they had to fit the culture of the club as well. And you all know Michael, he's a fantastic guy, and he's very much in the DNA mold of what we would like to have as partnering with the club. And that's how it happened. And the deal was done very, very quickly. So, I've seen other deals and you've seen them advertised. They're 6-8 months going in time. Michael and me had it done in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's good. Do you want to go ahead, Chris? I know you have a lot of questions as well.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of questions. So the seat gets a little warmer now. I'm just kidding. Yep. So I am going to address the elephant in the room for the first question here. I know you guys are familiar with the town hall forum from the Plus fans. Yep. So you've seen how things were after Saturday. There's also another WhatsApp forum with his owners, investors, and it got quite heated in there. So, I know the club, they can't listen to fans or run a club by listening to fans on social media. It's a little bit different here because most of the fans are investors too. So, but what would you say, use this platform to address the Northern Ireland fans and our global fans, a show of confidence, like we're going to go forward, that would make them feel better after Saturday and lately the form of the team, what direction we're going in, some confidence and some faith.
Yeah. So two parts to that. So I believe that everybody who pays, whether supporter or investor, has an absolute right to have an opinion. So I'm 100%. I'm a fan. Come 3 o'clock on the Saturday to 5 o'clock, I'm a fan. I live like you guys. I stand in the crowd and I question, why is that sub coming on? Why is this? Why is that? In my own head. And then 5 o'clock, I become the chairman again, and you've got to be a little bit divorced. But so the first point is fans have the right and the absolute expectation to ask the hard questions and to expect the answers. So I want to address that because sometimes people think, well, clubs shouldn't listen, or clubs, actually, we should listen, because at the end of the day, a lot of them are very knowledgeable in football as well. So that's the first part. Second part is, and I said it earlier, we're not where we should be. Black and white. Let's not, there's no backdoor in this. We didn't expect to be where we are today. We've invested heavily. We started the season well. We have lots of excuses what's happened during the thing. But equally, if I look at it and I see what's going on, and some of the stuff we can tell you actually what's going on, and some of the stuff still we're work in progress, but we're working very, very hard. So my personal vision of where we should be is we should be 7th, 8th. That's where we should be. If I look at it in reality, if you're really optimistic, you're saying 6th, and if you're really pessimistic, you'd say 9th. But in real terms, we should be 7th or 8th. And have we done enough as a club? And I use the word club, so I do, rather than manager, because it's easy just to throw the manager. The players are accountable as well. The manager puts the players out to, I can't remember which one of the two just said, we actually played really well in the first half against a team whose budget is 5 or 6 times ours.
Yeah.
So we have the skill, we have the capability, and we have the know-how. And the question is, how do we make it last? Or how do we cut out the simple mistakes? Because that's the bit that's killing us. It isn't the football. It isn't the skill. It isn't that. It's simply, as I look at it, a simple mistake. When I say simple, please forgive me, but an error. It isn't. Any of you guys tell me on Saturday, because you watched the game, Coleraine didn't cut us open. Well, it was like 1-1, 2-1.
Yeah.
So right to the 85th minute, they didn't cut us open with super football. So that's where we're focusing on, is in 2 avenues. One is how we be more clinical going forward. because I didn't see it in the clip today, but Luke McCulloch had a great chance. Danny hits the bar with a header.
Yeah, I have to cut it short a little bit.
Yeah. No, I understand, but I'm saying we had 3 excellent chances.
Yeah.
And there's 2 different things about chances, because you also mentioned that. So you can have 20 chances in a game, or 20, but are they what I would call substantive chances, or are they shot from the 18-yard line? We had 3 substantive chances. So we put another one of those in the net, the probability is we go away with the points. And that's where we're focusing on from the, let's just say, from the training, all of that sort of side. So Stephen's highly focused on, let's be a little bit more clinical up front. And what are we doing wrong where we're making a mistake? And at that level, especially against the top teams, you'll get punished. Absolutely. If you forget the third goal because we're chasing the game, the other 2 goals are our mistake. So they are. So so I draw a negative and a positive from it. So the positive is the football, the capabilities are all there. The negative is, why do we make the mistake? And that's the part where Stephen and Peter and Mark are working extremely hard on. Conversely, part of what our role is to constantly look to how do we improve the squad. And, we have been working, and I know Chris knows a little bit of this because I was speaking to one of the agents the other day. I don't believe in transfer windows. So I don't. That's the wrong way to look at how you improve your squad. We look at improving our squad 365 days a year. They may only be able to play for us during the transfer window, may not, because out of contract pros can play during the season. So our strategy is I've probably reviewed since July with the managers 150 players. So I have. Just to put it in context, this isn't something that happens just, it's December. What are we going to do in January?
And speaking of transfers and players, I have a question in that regards. What qualities do you prioritize when you evaluate a potential player or scouting a young talent or potential player to join the team?
So you've three different types of, let's call it, scouting. So you've got the superstar. So you're going to get him. If there's a superstar out there tomorrow and he's better than Luke McCulloch, you would still go and find him, and Luke's been phenomenal for us. So that's just a obvious one. So if someone comes in, no matter how good our current players are, they come in automatically. But what we want to do going forward now is we only want to bring players in who start. So we don't want to bring players in from the bottom up. We want to actually bring the players in from the top down. So we do. So literally a player's got to come in, and the only players we want to bring in is a player who's going to put someone onto the bench and make that player then fight to get back into the team. That's the strategy. So choice number 1 or option number 1 is the superstar, which would be fantastic. Yes. Option number 2 is then, depending on what the manager's profile of how he wants to set the team up for the second half of the season, we may then want to change. And again, I'm making this up because I don't want to give away too much of what we're doing. So obviously this goes in different, it's an open communication. But for example, if we wanted to change the team to a 3-5-2, well, then we need a different type of player for different roles. And if we don't have the players currently existing in the structure, then we need to go and find that player to support that change of tactics. So we do. And then the third one is actually the long term. So we're working really hard, and we're working on the Global Academy. So we've been speaking to agents about bringing younger players in, putting them into the under 20s and developing them. So we have. And that's the third part of the chain. And there's no sequence of one taking priority over the other. All of them have to happen at the same time. So we're searching in, shall we say, in 3 different categories, and we search continually. And something you asked about, Jody, a while back, so in the couple of podcasts ago, we don't search just in the UK. So 2 years ago, we had 3 players over from America. this time of the year. In the summer, we brought 10 players over from America. So we did. We brought a player over from Australia. So we're not searching just in this market and haven't been for 1 or 2 years. But to give an example, 4 years ago, we had 2 young players come from a Division 1 side in England who were 19, 20 years of age, trying to break through. And we brought them over for half a season. One did phenomenally well, one did okay. So it's not just one location and it's not just one type of player. So three different categories, but a global search.
And in terms of difficulty, is it difficult to bring players outside of Northern Ireland? I mean, UK in general versus like in US? Is it a bit more difficult?
It's a lot more difficult, especially since Brexit. So now, believe it or not, and it's a stupid rule that the government has, but we're actually, for bringing players in, we're benchmarked at the same requirements as Manchester United. Yeah, so they just have what they call a standard work visa.
I know, yes.
And so the work visa, in essence, we have to get, the person has to have the same number of points so as a player going for Manchester United. So that creates a challenge.
Yes, absolutely. Chris?
But part of that is going to be fixed by the Global Academy, we hope. Sorry, Chris.
That's all right. Hey, Peter. So I know that one of your main duties is as player recruitment, but Merwin, we were talking, I picked up on you, said you even filled my shop order one day. So I was just, for the people at, the fans of the team, the other owners, what are some other duties they may not be aware of that you do? I know one time I was talking with you, you're doing something on the pitch, trying to fix the pitch. And I know we have a lot of volunteers and stuff. So what all do you do that we wouldn't know?
So, so again, if I address it first, every person on our board has to work. So we're not a shirt and tie board. I don't believe in that. I believe that everybody must contribute and contribute hands-on. So everybody has dual roles. You heard Jody talking about his 2 or 3 roles. So I have probably a lot more roles than that. So every order that goes to America, I personally fulfill. So I do all the ordering, I do the postage, I do the packaging, I do everything. And it's great because then I get to see who all the people are. And, it actually is a good way for me to start to learn the names and hopefully meet a lot of the guys in March. So I would do that. I would also look after a lot of the pitch. I also do the finances. I do the wages. I do, everything. I do the repairs. In fact, we're installing, Michael's already sent the email out. We're going to hopefully on Boxing Day live stream ourselves. So I'm personally going to install the camera system. So Monday or Tuesday,
we know who to blame if we cannot see.
Yeah. If you can't see it, it's my fault.
Penalty kicks.
And we need the cleaner also when it rains a lot.
Yeah. So that's I'm lucky. I come from an engineering background, and it's for all of the technical jobs I'm happy to do. But I do all the wages, I do the finances, I do the budgeting. We do player recruitment. So I do the strategy with the club, and I also do all the other work. The most important thing actually is, maybe some of the fans wouldn't know, some will, like Michael Backer, who was over, and a few others. Myself, the vice chairman, and one of the other board members, we clean the ground straight after the game. And there's a purpose for that. It's like, I always believe that you've got to lead by example. So if the chairman, vice chairman, and a third board member is cleaning the ground, in my mind, then there's no job that anybody shouldn't do for the club.
Absolutely. I have a tricky question, but what has been the most challenging decision you had to make in your role as a chairman, and what did you learn from it? Is it something that was very difficult for you?
Yeah. So it's very easy to get rid of a manager, by the way. So again, people think that's a hard decision. And I'll be honest, it's not. And by the way, and Stephen's actually doing a very good job. So I'm not talking about Stephen in this case. But people sometimes think that, it's a hard decision to get rid of a manager. Actually, it's not. It's really not. You've got to divorce yourself from the emotion and look at the reality. And you look at, and and when you know that, then you've got to make that decision. So that's actually not the hardest decision. The hardest decision is actually to let a player who's done maybe a lifetime of service and then tell him he's not to the standard that you require. and that person may have been in the trenches fighting for you for 5-10 years, and it's just time for him to leave. And that's a harder decision, or a harder, not even a harder decision. The decision's easy. It's probably harder just to tell that player. And, that player quite often thinks, well, you know what, I've still one more year in me, and I've still this, and you owe me because I give you 10 good years service. No, sorry, no, not in football. No, sorry. If you're not at the standard that we require, I'm sorry, you need to go. And again, it's not personal to the person because they've been a fantastic servant to the club, but that would be the hardest thing that a player I would have to do.
Hey, Peter, I was going to ask this as kind of a 3-part rapid fire question here. Can you explain the optics with God, I hope I say this right, Atrium Council, how our rental works with them? And are they pretty good partners as far as if we ever need anything, they provide it? Since we rent, from what we've heard, we rent the stadium. We've heard rumors of it maybe being the land being sold as well. And then also, what advantages and disadvantages do you think there are for being a renter or a tenant instead of opposed to owning your own stadium? And then third, I would say, if we ever qualify for European football, which is our goal, will these improvements that you're doing, because I know you're designing the beautiful stands, you're helping with that, and would that be something that we could play European football at home, or do we have to go to another stadium?
Okay, so easy answer first. The contract that I've negotiated with the council for our lease gives us full protection. It doesn't actually matter who owns the ground. It's actually an irrelevance, a red herring. So it is. So, Chris, you could come and buy it tomorrow, and it actually makes zero difference, because the way the contract's written and the way UK law is, we're totally protected for the next 75 years. So it has zero impact whatsoever, whether privately owned by ourselves or owned by the local authority. So that one's quite simple. It's the council has a strategy that they're wanting to release assets. That's part of the bigger picture. We're just one small cog in a bigger picture. The law, and I don't know what you have in America, but it's probably similar. The designation of that area can only ever be for sport forever. And that is forever, not just even for the next 75 years. So the truth is, any investor coming in knows, anyone who buys the land knows the only thing they can use it for is sport. So it doesn't have any intrinsic excitement for an investor to do anything special with. Whether we decide to purchase the land, that's still a discussion that I'm looking at and seeing whether or not it's of benefit to us to own. I don't see a significant benefit. I don't see a significant downside, but it's sort of neutral. So it is from an ownership standpoint. It doesn't impact any of the development of the stands, the stadiums, or anything like that. There is nothing impacted by any of that at all. And we work very, very closely with the council. And those people who are fortunate enough to come across in March, they'll see how close we work. So in our town, we have 10 councillors of different parties. We have a few more parties than America. So there's five parties that are based in our town. All of them, when I host a meeting, all of them attend. We have great contacts and communication with what we call, what would you call a state senate? So our MLAs, they come to our ground. We have lots of meetings with them. I had a meeting with Cheryl the other week. I had Stuart Dixon down. So we have great political contacts. We are very much in contact, and they're very much in sync with us as well, because a lot of what we do works with the community as well. So there's a lot of benefits. And the third part of your question is, our plan is it won't just be with this part of the stadium development. So there's a bigger plan. And when you're here in March, I'll actually take you through the bigger plan. So this is only phase one of a 3-phase plan. And we will be able to host European football after we finish phase 2, not phase 3.
Oh, that's a big information right there.
Yeah, that's the full state of development with the strategy will be more apparent when you come across in March, and then I can take you through at a longer piece of time with the diagrams, the drawings, And then you'll see how the global academy with the local academy, with the football team, and how it all blends together. Because there is an overarching strategy that ties the three together. And that also ties up with what we want to do with the real estate as well. So it is a very cohesive strategy. Short answer is, once we get to phase 2, we'll be compliant and capable to play in Europe for some of the games. If you were to be lucky enough in Champions League and you get past the second phase, we may have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But that would be a lovely position to be in.
Yes.
Please.
and to follow up on that, do you have a timeline for phase 2? Or
No,
it's right now it's just in project.
It's in project, but the reality is, the way I look at it, there's going to be more funding streams. So there's no secret we've already been processed, and maybe I sort of maybe clarified a little bit. We could have put phase 2 and phase 1 together and put one package to the government. We didn't want to do that because we didn't think we would be successful in fighting with all the other clubs. So we went for a very, very bespoke project of it's close to $8 million. So it is. And you're right, I designed it. So that's, if it's wrong, it's my fault as well. Sorry.
But it looks good.
No, but the simple reality is, we wanted to make sure that we won the first round. And the truth is, our second phase, we're already shovel ready. So we already have the designs, the plans, full planning application, full planning permissions. We're actually shovel ready on phase 2 as well. So if there's a slippage in the process from any other club as we progress through this grant phase, we'll be putting our hands up again. So we will, and trying to attract that money, because the government will want to have projects. So an optimistic says we'll do it in the next 3 to 5 years. Pessimistic person says we'll do it in the next 5 to 10 years.
Which one are you?
Yeah, I'm always optimistic. So far, touch wood, we managed to, we wrote the grant application and we replaced our full 3G facility this year. And that was £500,000, so about $650,000. We've installed new floodlighting on our 3G at another $100,000. So, and we also wrote their business case and plan for this project, and we've already went through the 2 phases of it. So far we've been pretty successful in, it's like every grant application is how you pass the test and making sure that the grant application, what you're doing, actually fits the needs of the grant. And because what we do, we've done pretty well so far.
Yes, I agree. Chris, do you have more? Do you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, does the club integrate any analytics and sports science into, like, let's say the medical side for like load management on players? Or does Stephen Baxter have access to those type of things for like roster construction? Which I guess, hearing from you, you're more involved with that too, that you guys use for lineup selections and for substitutions during the game?
Not during the game, no. So we don't use data analytics. So a lot of clubs use Stat Sports or one of those. I know Stat Sports well. We actually make their product, but so we don't use it during the game. Do we use data analytics and sports science for other things? Yes. For rehabilitation, absolutely. So the likes of Ethan Boyle, for example, had an ACL. And part of his progression is we go and he goes to a special clinic and they test all the muscles and they test the different things. And then we adjust his training schedules to make sure that he is getting the best, shall we say, rehabilitation, so he can get back on the pitch quicker. So we would use, for medical parts, we would use that. We would also, Cameron and the doctor have, and we're not allowed to see the actual details, but they'll have a medical history on every player and everything, and they will come with specific recommendations as well. So they will. We won't have all the underlying detail, but for sure they will come with a recommendation that we need to do something, and that's from a purely medical standpoint. So that's where we would use data analytics. We don't use a lot of data analytics for running and those sorts of things. It's something we're looking at, but the way the data analytics is performed at the minute, it's not as good as what we would like it to be. To tell someone they run 20 kilometers or 20 miles is fantastic, but did they run 20 good miles, or did they just run? If you understand. So it's like, did they run into the right areas? Did they do this? Did they do that? That's where we want to go with the data analytics. Now, if you look at the current camera systems that operate, so if you watch one football, it's one camera. So you don't actually see the whole play. We have a VO system. You see the whole play, but it's not detailed enough. And part of what we're doing with these camera systems that we're putting in, it will give us broader reach for Stephen and the management team now to access and be able to watch not just the ball, but shall we say the 360-degree view. So he's got the helicopter view, but he's got the local view as well. And if the camera system is successful, we plan to actually put another 2 cameras in, so we'll actually have 6 cameras in the ground, and that we believe will give better data analytics than currently some of the stat sports, because it's a very, very black and white. You've run 10 kilometers, you've run here, you've run there, but knowing a person's run somewhere, unless you see where the ball is, again, and that's part of the problem. You get lots of nice graphics, but until you actually see, and that software and that is quite expensive. But
I know.
Our hope is by putting in the 6 camera system, we'll actually have a better view, because then we can actually sit and watch. And just to put a bit of color on it, Stephen will watch on a Monday probably 9 hours of football, 8-9 hours of football. So he'll watch our game back in its totality at least once, maybe twice. And him and Gavin will cut out certain information that they want to show the players. And then they'll spend time watching the opposition for the next week, maybe watch 2 or 3 of their games against different types of opponents. And then that allows them, and that's every Monday. And then that starts the programming for the Tuesday and the programming for the Thursday. So it does. So it is an ongoing, but it's not maybe the same way as what you see in a lot of other clubs.
Thanks.
And so the NIFL, the Northern Irish Football League, is quite competitive and difficult. When you have a full squads, fully professional squads versus teams like us. What do you think Carrick Rangers they need to do consistently to challenge those teams and be at the top?
I think our desire is not to be full-time, because we believe that, and this is only my personal view, is that the model in Northern Ireland doesn't support full-time football. There isn't enough houses or people in the country. That's the first thing. We want to be the club that every player who can't be full-time wants to join. And that's the key. You've got people like Paul Heatley, who owns his own business, so he's never going to go full-time. So you want players like that, and the best of those players to join us. And we want to have the best global academy. Currently, all the clubs run local academies, in various forms. But again, that limits their roster selection. We want to actually be, and that's where part of why we've set up the Global Academy and people have helped invest in it, is we actually want to attract talent at a lot younger age, bring them in through, and actually then instead of, at the minute, everybody's fishing in this little bowl here, we want to have a bigger option to bring younger players, and those players will be the success for the future.
And following up on that, what's the strategy to retain those talents? Because you bring those young talent, but then all of a sudden they're really good and they're like, hey, I want to be full-time.
Yeah, and that's what you want. That's actually the success. Actually, you don't want to keep them. So you want to keep them. No, you want to keep them for a short period of time. Well, say short period of time. So what the theory of what should happen is you should end up with 2 types of players. You should end up with the player who is going on somewhere and is going to be hopefully successful, and we'll get a fee, which will mean that we have a bigger budget and able to compete. Yes. It also is a message as to why other young players should join us, because if they all stay with us, then what's the benefit? But if you can see and show a player from, for example, America, if you come to us and you spend a year or 2 years with us and you're out playing in Europe somewhere, that's a great advertisement for the next young person from America to come across. So we actually need players to move on and not stay. But you will get a group of players who maybe aren't quite that good that they won't be able to move on, and then we'll retain them, and maybe we'll be able to offer them some sort of full-time role, or they can get involved in the academy and they can start into the coaching sessions as well. So there is almost like a self-sustaining. It would be, in my mind, it would be perfect if we could get one or two young players from America. They come across, they get in through the team and they play in the team, and then we start putting them through coaching, even at an early age. And next thing you'll see, they're coaching, and it gives them also different options as well. So as their football career maybe doesn't progress as far as they want, they're still staying in football, but in a different opportunity. And then again, they may be happy to play for Carrick Rangers as a part-time player.
That's good. I mean, very, very informative. I was not sure of the strategy in place, and how many I would say how many years do you think it's the best to keep those players in?
Well, it depends on the quality of the player. So if it's a superstar, they're going to move on within 6 months. And you've seen that before. A young player comes in somewhere, and he's Crusaders had a player on loan last year from one of the Scottish teams. He played 3 months, and someone offered 100 and something thousand pounds for him. So the quality of the player will dictate how long they stay. For us, I would like if we could get one or two young players from America to come in and go through the academy. So probably arrive at 16.
Okay.
And go through the U20s and all that. Maybe start to reach the first team at the age of 18, 19. And then 2, 3, 4 years playing in the 20s. Or sorry, in the first team. And then start their coaching career and work in the global academy and be the spokesperson to show the people in America or other countries, because we're also speaking in countries outside America, that it does work for them. And they see, and the best way is that you show the model. And if we can show the person at 25, 26 years of age, starting to do their coaching badges, still playing for the football club from a different country, that sells itself. It's easy for me to say this and it sounds all lovely.
No, but
if you can actually point to the person and say, there is Chris, look, he came across 7 years ago as a youngster. He went through the 20s into the first team, played for several years in the first team, and is, while playing for the first team, still doing his coaching badges.
That's true. Yeah, very true. And Chris, do you have a couple more?
I know a couple more. I know we're trying to run on time here.
Let's go fast.
We tried to open up the Facebook forum to some questions from some of the other owners as well. Of course, we couldn't take them all, and a few of them, some of the stuff they asked, I know you can't answer. But there is one from that kind of ties in what I was going to ask by CRFC Fan Zone on Facebook, and he wanted to know, other than what's already being done, what more can the club do to attract more supporters to the game, with a particular focus on the younger fans, who's going to become the future of the club? And I know that ties into my questions too, that you had mentioned that you do a lot of community stuff town halls where you listen to the fans. And so when you do those town halls, what do you sense? Is there a passion? Because football has a lot of passion. Do they kind of have the red ass when they're talking with y'all? Is there a lot of passion?
Yeah, there's always passion. And, I would, as I say, I'm a fan first and foremost. So, I would go and meet the supporters club 2, 3, 4 times a year, whatever, and I'd pop in, uninvited, just pop in and sit down, and people want to ask me questions. People stop me on the ground, and not just me, by the way, any of the board, and 2 or 3 of the board members are actually actively going the buses with the fans and whatnot. So sometimes the questions are challenging. Sometimes people are frustrated, and rightly so. And that's why I said at the very start, people pay their money, so people have the right. And part of it is, how would I put it? Part of it is how we can impart some information without actually, there's certain things are confidential. So, sometimes there is, for example, we all know Danny had a problem a couple of years ago, for example, and he's been very good and open with it now. And I joined him last year and we did a 26-mile walk for the suicide charity. But at the time when all that's going on, we can't discuss that, obviously, because that's Danny's personal things.
Of course.
And so when supporters are maybe coming and frustrated that, oh, we're not scoring goal, we're not doing this, and there is other background issues that we can't tell them, so we can't, for obvious reasons. And so we try to give them a bigger picture, and sometimes that's not easy, and sometimes it's not. We're restricted in what we can say, and we have to try and guide them. But equally, to answer the first part of your question, Chris, is the biggest thing we have. Our club is so close to the Belfast that we were a commuter town, so a lot of people have moved out of to our town from Belfast, and historically their parents have been Linfield, Glentoran fans, whatever. So they still migrate back to Linfield, Glentoran. So what we do is, our academy with 375 boys, give or take. So we have 60 coaches approximately, all volunteers, by the way, and a big thank you for them as well. So we let them in free to every single match. So we do. And the whole idea is we blood them into not believing, but being part of Carrick through playing, through the schools programs. We run schools cups, as you know, we run, and we're actually, we're in the process of seeing how we can enhance that. And I can only discuss that further in January, but we actually have an announcement coming, hopefully for the schools as well in January. End of January, we hope to have that announcement. So that's where we see where we'll be successful. And the most important part, not the most important part, sorry, but a very important part is actually bringing the young girls in now. And that's a key. And we've done really well. Ben's done really well with the Falcons. And now you'll have seen we've a U16 team.
Yes.
And as we grow that side of it as well, then we'll grow more fans organically as well. And I think that's part of it. And the last part of it, which is really the biggest stumbling block we have, is our facilities. Once we get the new stand and we get the new facilities, which will make it a lot more attractive for families to come as well, that will allow us to host kids. One of our challenges is, our ground's open and everybody can go everywhere. So this will allow us to create specific zones for different groups who would like young kids. So they can be noisy, they can be whatever, and not upset the older folk. And where today, because we're so open, everything's sort of higgledy-piggledy. In the future, we can be more structured and actually have dedicated zones.
Yeah. And in the same kind of category of supporters questions, it's Carrick Rangers has a very, very growing international community now with the investors, especially in the US. How does their support influence a strategic decision?
So,
because it's a big chunk of us.
So, again, it's not a one sentence answer in that. So it's from a playing standpoint, doesn't change anything. Manager's got his job.
Yes, of course.
What it does do, and we'll touch on it slightly in a second. So, with all the additional merchandise being sold and all the other things, and we put a request out for a little bit of help to help us in the transfer window, and thank you everybody who's donated so far. But that helps us with the budget. It allows us to do different things from the footballing side. What I've actually found the biggest benefit to date, and taking money aside, is actually the amount of quality people who can actually help us with the club. And that's whether it's the video editing. We actually met an agent through the fans in America. And this agent has been really, really good for us so far. We've met different people who can actually give us different assistance in how we actually grow the club. And that can be from developing players, finding players, which actually does progress onto the pitch then, because if we can find players in America, if we can scout players better in America, we'll get more players to play. So, and there's a huge benefit, because at the minute today, I think we're at 1,725 was the last time I looked at it, in investors,
nice.
Which is
That's
fantastic. We're hoping to get 1,800 by Christmas. That's our, so people out there, keep telling your friends.
Yes.
yeah, keep pushing them. It's and I like the couple of podcasts ago when you said it's a night out in America, to invest in the club. So it's like it's not super expensive, but buying the merchandise, coming over, being part of the club, finding the DNA, and then making all those different connections, because there's unbelievably super talented people who can actually help us. And the only thing we haven't done yet, we haven't found all of them. We've found a few, and I'm sure we'll find a lot more as we go through the journey, and they will actually help us shape how the club runs. And I mean the club, I mean the big club, not just 11 players on the pitch.
Jean, I only have one more question left on my list. So
okay, go ahead.
Squeeze it in real quick, because I know it's been bothering me, something I really want to know about, because I actually get emails from them about investing in them too. On the Plus fan, I like to kind of know about our partnership with them. It seems like it's a big initiative going forward in the future, being involved with them, and how is it, as far as a growth revenue stream for us? And is this something that we might, because there have been a lot of complaints about One Football, and I know you can't probably comment on that, but is this something that we might be able to, since you're putting cameras in, we can broadcast on that more games than we are?
So let me take a step back. So it's a good question. And again, as you see, I'll try and answer everything. So that's keep them coming. And I'm okay if we stay late, guys. Honestly. So, but two parts to it. So I sit on the board of the Northern Ireland Football League. So I'm actually one of the board members. There's only 2 football people on that board, and I'm one of them. And I sit on the general council of the Irish FA as well, the national organisation. So yeah, we know One Football isn't as good as what it should be. Our view is that we will do our best, and I'm careful in how I word it, because I've also got the Northern Ireland Football League sitting somewhere in that corner. But I would hope that we will be delivering quality football matches every single week to America. And through a platform, whether One Football through Plus Fans or another, we are working. You'll see the Boxing Day game. Hopefully it works perfectly. And if I can get up the camera or up the stairs,
we'll know to blame. Pointing fingers.
Yeah. But you'll actually find. I think you'll find that our desire with the club specifically, we want to show every game in America, so we do. Especially the home games, at least the home games we can control, the U20 games. But also, I can tell you that I'm working with NIFL to try and look at getting a better broadcast solution in general.
That would be fantastic
for not just America, but for the wider market. And I think we all accept in NIFL that we do okay in the UK. We need to do a lot better outside of the UK. But we're not. Carrick Rangers aren't waiting in NIFL. So to be clear, and I'm separating that, and I told them that the other week. So I did. I said, guys, we're going ahead. You can follow us afterwards, but we're going. And our plan is to broadcast as many games as we can live into America.
Yeah, that's great. There was I was reading the chat a little bit. There was one question from Tom Macias. Yes, there is. Is there a girls' team? My youngest daughter is starting to enjoy soccer. That's fantastic. The more the merrier. But yes, there is. Go ahead, Peter.
So there is girls' team. There's 2 girls. There's 3 girls' teams at the minute. Hopefully 4 shortly. And people all know the Wrexham story, the back-to-back champions. Well, our first team girls were back-to-back champion. Promotion, back-to-back promotion. And our second team are back-to-back promotion. So they only have been in existence 2 years, and they've been promoted twice. And our firsts have been in existence 4 years, and in the past 3 years, they've been promoted. So they've done phenomenally well. And U16 so far has started like a house on fire, and the results have been amazing. So absolutely, there's a girl team and a huge focus as we go forward in the next year.
And is there also plans to grow the women's side, like academy side? And
yeah. No, so that's to be clear. So that's the teams. Then we plan to actually put academy together. So we'll have like a younger group, and that's what I'm saying. We're going to work with the schools on a project, but I can't announce that till January sometime. But part of that is also to deal with how we integrate girls of all ages in primary school into a footballing program.
And also, John, it looks like Tom asked some more follow-up questions. As far as he can't find the Rangers, there's an app called One Football that you can download on your phone. And
that's where the games are.
You got to pay a subscription. That's how you see the Rangers. Not the confusion, but the women's team goes by the Falcons. And sometimes some of their games will be shown through the Plus Fan that we talked about. And if you want to be involved with that, I don't know if you're already an owner or not, but you can invest. I think the minimum for that is 200. So, but we take more than that if you want. But yes, if you do that, Michael will personally send you an email and they'll set you up on that as well. So, and that's how you can watch some of the women's games. But that's all you have to do if you want to watch the Rangers. And we'll have a game this Saturday. I don't know what time zone you're in, but it'll be on.
Yes. Yeah. And I have one more question. We're trying to wrap this up. We already been over the hour. Sorry,
don't
everybody.
wrap it up. Keep
going. Jody was on.
The producers. Keep going for another 30 minutes.
No, it's if you could make one change in the NIFL, the Northern Irish Football League, what would it be to make it better or more attractive?
I love the model. So to start, I love the model that we created. So even when you do the split, that a team can still qualify.
Can you explain real quick the split? I mean, I know, but for some people that are watching that don't understand what's the split.
So there is 4 places for Europe. So 4 teams will be qualifying for Europe this season. 1 team will qualify through the Irish Cup, and then 3 will be qualified through a league position. So they will. And the first 2 automatically go into Europe. And then what happens is after game 33, the league splits in 2. The top 6 play each other 5 times. There's 5 more games. The top 6 play each other. And then the bottom 6 play each other. So they do. The team that finishes 7th and the teams theoretically from 3rd to 6th, they play on a small tournament at the end of the season. And the winner of that takes the final spot to go into Europe. So actually you can finish 7th in the league
and still
qualify for Europe. But it makes the league really exciting the whole way through. So in theory, if I look at Scotland, Scotland has the same split model, but the 7th team doesn't go to play in a playoff.
Yes, so they remain at the bottom.
Yeah. So they, with 5 games to go or 7 or 8 games to go, 10 games to go, they may be clear of relegation and have nothing to play for. So the interest level or the excitement level is not there, where the way we've structured it, there's excitement all the way through. So even if you're 7th or 8th, you're chasing 7th. Yeah. It gives that incentive to keep the excitement going, which hopefully keeps the fans interested as well. So that's the beauty about it. The one thing that I would change, I would actually prefer we have financial fair play. I don't think it is strict enough in the way it's done. And I think I preferred what you see in other sports, which is a salary cap. You're only allowed to spend a certain
like MLS.
Like MLS. I would prefer that structure. I think it's a safer structure, and it also has more control over how the teams operate. And I think that would also create less at the minute. The salary market in Northern Ireland is crazy because of the current way certain clubs are paying players.
So you're saying there's a bigger gap because of it's not like a salary cap for the league.
Correct.
So
and it also then creates an inflationary pressure the whole way through the league. So it does. If you're willing to offer a player 3 times what the salary should be, you can, and that's what I mean. So it creates an artificial market, and the problem is all the teams suffer in the artificial market. And I think that's the one problem. Not one. It's the one thing I would change to make it a little bit more level in the playing field as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Chris, do you have any more thing before we?
Yeah, please.
No, and man, I know we need to talk briefly about Saturday's
Yes,
matchup.
before we
I mean,
close, yes.
I don't know if Peter wants to comment on that and put gasoline on a fire for some bulletin board material for them, but yeah, I mean, you're welcome to stay with us to analyze Saturday's matchup if you want, but I don't know what
I'm
saying.
fine.
That's all we need is bulletin board. Did you hear what the chairman said?
Chairman always goes into the game believing we win. You know, and you've got to believe that. And the simple fact is, if you look at it, if you look in totality, and again, it's my fault where we are in the league, so I'm not going to change any of that. If you look at it though, if you take all of the games, we actually have beaten Larne in the cup. We've beaten Glentoran in the cup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've drawn with Larne in the league, or sorry, we have drawn with Glentoran in the league. We've beat Dungannon. So actually, we shouldn't be, our expectations shouldn't change because of where our results have taken us at the minute. I think we have actually, if I look at it in the totality, we've proven we are capable. Now the question is, how do we get consistent?
Yes.
And I think that's the key to us, is how we consistently give. And one of you said, you know, we're doing 45 minutes of performance or 60 minutes of performance. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got a different outlook on it. I just look at it and say, we've managed to beat Dungannon. We've managed to beat Larne, Glentoran in the Cups. We've managed to draw with Glentoran in the league. Why would we expect not to win?
Mm-hmm.
And that's...
I expect you to win Saturday. Actually, because, you know, if you look at the stats of goal differential, and they do play a compact style defense, which can be to our advantage since we like to play wide with our wingers. And they also have letdowns on defense quite a bit. So there should be opportunities there like we had in the first half of the last game to win this match. If I was setting it and predicting in Vegas, I would make us the favorite this game. I think we should be, regardless of being lower than them in the table. You know, I was raised in Houston, so I grew up a Dynamo fan, unfortunately for me. But when Dominic Kinnear used to manage them, one thing that always stood out to me he said, all home games should be won, and we get 3 points. All road games, the goal should be at least a draw. If you do that the whole season, you should win your league.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of the philosophy. It's a home game. I expect 3 points. We should get it.
Yeah, I can't disagree. You know, again, we're good enough. So we are, and we know we're good enough. We beat Dungannon away. And Dungannon's a fantastic team. Don't get me wrong. I'm not in any way making light of them. But we've got enough good players, and we've got to have the belief and the strength of character to go and impose ourselves. And that's what hopefully we'll do on Saturday.
Yeah.
Sean, what do you think?
No, I was just jumping on what you were saying, Chris, is we have to be monsters at home. We have to defend our home grounds. And I think it starts on Saturday.
Our producer's got so much faith, Peter. He's dropping a G note on this game. You know.
Yeah. Well, good luck on that.
Yeah, it starts with Saturday. Saturday, big game at home, and I'm with Chris. At home, we need to get maximum points. And Dungannon is a good opponent, but there is no reason we cannot. Win Saturday, and we have a lot of games coming with the Boxing Day. That's a very fun one, and hopefully we get to see Peter's work with the cameras. Well, so I'm excited about
maybe
that.
I'll have fallen by then. So. But on the other hand as well, guys, I don't know whether Michael has told you, so for the cup final, we managed to win the toss last night. So
I was going to talk about it, but go ahead, Peter.
Okay, so we've been very fortunate. See, I can read your question. No, sorry.
Yeah. It's good.
No, but we actually have been very fortunate. We won the toss, so we are actually playing in our home shirts. We're playing from the home changing room. We've got whatever the advantages are. Stephen should know that changing room. That was the changing room he managed from for many years as well. So a great start for the cup final. So it is, and you know, it's going to be a big event as well. So again, hopefully I'll be speaking to the County Antrim FA and see what opportunities there is for streaming there as well. That's still in discussion.
Yeah, that would be big for us because it's always been a struggle to get the cup matches
Yeah.
to even see anything, to be honest. So far, I haven't been able to see any of the cup ones.
Well, the good
I
news
work
is,
on highlights, and that's how I watch the game.
for our Irish Cup game this year, we
Mhm.
will be streaming. So we will.
Yeah.
On Plus Fan, right? Usually
Plus
that's
Fan.
where it's at. And that's been the issue on those the AI cameras. We've had a couple of penalty shootouts,
Yeah.
and thankful
The
for
camera is gone.
CRFC guy. He sent us video of the penalties we missed is on delay. But at least we got to see him on his phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's going to be there.
Yeah.
At the
Well,
final, nice. Wow, lucky.
Yeah, the good thing is with the new camera systems, the VO system is 3 cameras in one, and that's the problem.
Yeah, yeah.
It's built into one, so it can't actually look that way. And even when we turn it, it still looks the other way. With this system that we're putting in, actually, and this is a good thing for people who are even working, because I know sometimes the time zones don't work. So we hope that we'll be able to cut and clip and send the goals immediately as a little, just a 30-second snippet to our social media networks. So we're hoping that, for example, in America, even if you aren't able to watch the game live, we'll be able to, it'll pop up on your phone and you'll be able to see the goal, for example.
Yeah,
so
nice.
that's part of where we're looking at the technology to try and help. So definitely you'll be able to see the penalties, that's for sure. But more importantly as well, we want to give, for the people who can't watch the game live all the time because of work or other things, at least they can follow it live and maybe get a couple of snippets of what's going on during the game.
That would be great.
Do we see, do the people in Northern Ireland, because I know we can see it on the streaming, what do they see it on? Is it on BBC there or blacked out or what?
It's blacked out. You're not allowed to show live TV or live football in those windows. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So it's a deal done with the whole of the UK football teams. So it is. So
then they have to get their butts in the stands to see us play, right? So they need to get out there. The club needs you. They feel your presence when you're there. Just come on out to the game.
Yes.
Tickets are probably reasonable, I'm assuming.
Show up.
It's not like going to watch Liverpool or Man City and what you have to pay for that, So get out there.
That's good.
Absolutely.
I'd go if I lived there.
Yeah. And the truth is, the fans, even when we were Windsor Park, the funny thing was the management team said they could hear our fans above the Linfield fans. So, the guys do create a bit of noise when they're together, and it's easier when you're away because you're more together, and at home we're a bit more spread out. But
I noticed that too.
If we get more fans into the ground supporting us, the noise, phenomenal. The support, fantastic. I think you've seen it even the penalty shootout against Larne and Glentoran. It really is. People don't realize what the benefit is for them from the players. It does give that little extra lifting. So it is for those guys just to drive a little bit harder. So really, you're absolutely right, Chris. Everybody, if we can get them out on the stands, it's not great where we are, but if we all fight together and help each other, I think we have a lot of games to go for this season still.
Yes. And speaking of games, so like I was saying, a ton of games coming up with the Boxing Day, which is something that's I always like to watch. I started with the Premier League. I didn't know there was such a thing. And perfect. Thank you. So Dungannon is the first one, and then Ballymena, right?
Ballymena.
Help us. You have to help
Ballymena.
us. Okay. Yeah. And then next.
Then Larne.
And the last one.
Then Crusaders.
Yes. Yeah. So that's for just December. And then January, it's a big month or with the final already. The County Antrim Shield, the final against Cliftonville on January 20th. Am I correct?
You're correct. It's January is even more hectic than December.
Yes, it is.
We actually have Linfield on the Tuesday prior to the cup final.
And there's also another cup match, January.
It's
the
Irish Cup as well. So
yes, January 10th against Queen's University.
Queen's University.
What's that tier for Queen's?
So they play in the tier below. They're about mid-table, so they are. Okay. And actually, small interesting fact, Peter Thompson, our assistant manager, he was previous life, he was a manager of Queen's University. So he was. So there's a little bit of not bad blood, but there's a little bit of history there, rivalry.
That was going to be good then.
Yeah, so there's always a little bit of interest. So I think, we have January the 3rd, the 10th, the 13th, the 17th, the
20th,
20th.
yes,
You
yeah.
know, so January is a
packed,
hectic month
right.
as well.
Yes.
Does that affect your strategy with that kind of schedule when you go into the transfer market? Because you're going to need more bodies, it seems like, and quality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't change the strategy. It changes the how would I put it? How fast you want to do it. So the transfer window normally, lasts to the 31st of January. We would love to have a deal done before the 1st or 2nd of January. And, we're actively speaking to players. There's no secret in that. So
Yeah.
I've already spoken to at least 4 players. So I have. And that doesn't mean to say it'll be successful, but we have a couple coming in for trial in the next week. So we have. And we're actively speaking to 2 others at this moment. But we've also identified 2 or 3 others who we want to speak to. So my view in life is we're not going to bring in 7, by the way, just to be clear. But we'd rather bring them in, the players we want to bring in, we'd rather bring in sooner rather than later. Specifically for the point that you raised, Chris, is like, December will take a lot out of the players. And again, people got to remember, that means Christmas Day, these guys are like super, super, super disciplined. So they are. Christmas Day would be our Thanksgiving for all intents and purposes if I Americanize it. So these guys are being super disciplined, and even New Year's Eve, they're being super disciplined as well because we have so many games. So for guys who are semi-professional, they're giving up a lot over the Christmas period. If you understand, they really are. They'll be in training and days all over the Christmas period as well. So again, people don't see that side of the coin. They just see the games, but also these guys will still be in every other 2-3 times a week while that's all going on.
Do you think we'll see like Cody, James, and Boyd get chances since we're going to be playing a big schedule?
Again, it depends on the manager and it depends on how the players are feeling. Cody's done fantastic, so he did, and young Boyd, Jack, he's a talent in the future, so he is. So he's up and coming. Would they start? Probably not. And that's only my opinion as a fan. I don't know, and I never know, by the way. So I don't know the team sheet till 2:00. But as a fan, I'm saying, will they be used more? Well, I would say, depending on how injuries go, depending on how the players' fitness goes, they could be used more. But would I think they would start? Well, I think we have enough quality that we could move the roster a little bit without maybe putting the young players out at the front, because again, with young players as well, and I'm not talking about any our specific, in general, they've got to grow through this system. And sometimes if you throw them in the deep end, that can be very, very challenging for them as well. So we've got to make sure we do the right thing for them. And that's what Stephen's very, very good at, making sure we give them enough game time to let them start and we let them play. If you look at young Scott Pengelly, for example, our number 2 goalkeeper, in fairness to Stephen and the management team, they played him in the semi-final. So they did.
Yes. Yeah.
And so Stephen will give the players the chances as they progress, but also you've got to do it in a way that doesn't impact the player badly, if you understand that they're exposed. And that's where you've got to get the young players experience, time, rather than maybe sometimes just throwing them in the start of the deep end. It's a little bit harder for them. So, but they'll be knocking at the door, and I know the young guys are certainly pushing.
Yes, we see that when they come in. We see
that's
that
what you see. You see that they're asking the right questions of Stephen, and that's the good thing. They're making Stephen have to make decisions.
Yeah. So, just to summarize, what are we expecting to see in the transfer window? How many players are we expected to see?
So, my view on life is, if we were successful, 2 top quality players. Yeah, you can be. Last year was slightly different. So we had a manager come in. So we did. The team wasn't his own. He was learning things, and we had to bring a lot of players in, and it was trial and error. Now we've got the nucleus of the team. So we're pretty happy with the structure of the team, and there's 1 or 2 areas like everywhere you want to improve, and we don't want to ruin the nucleus of the team. We want to add that little bit of quality, not bring in 10 players and
change
totally
everything.
change everything. And so if we're successful, I would say 2 players. And again, for all those, and I know a lot of guys have put into their pocket already and started donating. That's been fantastic, and we really appreciate it. And if anybody can afford to donate, that would be fantastic as well. And I think Michael is, and there's the QR code right on cue. Thank you for that, Chris. So please scan on that and please give us a donation just to put in context to it. And, and maybe I shouldn't say, but myself and Michael will be putting in a 5-figure sum each to the transfer budget. So, we are investing, and that's the message you want to get. So it's not, I wouldn't ask, it's a bit like I said when I clean the stand, I won't ask someone to do what I wouldn't do. And so Michael is of the same opinion. So we will be putting in 5-figure sum each to help us. And therefore, if anybody can help contribute to it as well, that'll give us a bigger budget in which hopefully to go and attract 1 or 2 of these players we're chasing.
Absolutely. Well, go ahead, Chris. Do you have anything?
No, I was going to say shout out to AJ, our producer.
Yeah, for putting the QR code.
Codes.
Yeah, it's not us. He's the one behind the
he's behind the scenes tonight. He's normally a host on some nights. He's behind the scenes.
No, he's done a fantastic job as always. And by the way, guys, the quality in general, I want to just say as from our side, from over in Northern Ireland, the quality of the podcast has been amazing. So it is professional, and you guys have done a fantastic job. AJ's done a fantastic job. I've actually watched all of the podcasts, so I have, and I know a lot of people over here watch them now. So actually fantastic, and a big shout out to all the guys who are involved in it, because the quality, the professionalism is really good. The questions you ask, fantastic. Please keep challenging us. That's what you should be there for. You should be there to challenge us. No one should get an easy ride, and we want to push on. And to push on, sometimes you've got to be challenged. And I'm very, very happy to be pushed and challenged and questioned at any time.
Yeah, and we thank you for coming on, especially this time of night. I know it's like it'll be 1:30 in the morning there. You probably have to get up early. So we really appreciate you. Same thing when Jody was on. You guys come on live and don't tape anything. You're here.
Yeah, you don't know the questions we're gonna ask, so
taking all the bullets and everything. And also, you mentioned the podcast. AJ was the one that put all this together with Bleacher Brothers, and it's been a great asset. And it's been really good. He does a great job. It's his calling for sure. So
no, it's been fantastic. And I say, hopefully anytime I'd love to be invited back, and hopefully when we're slightly higher up the table, and hopefully people are starting to see the progression again, and I'll come back next week if you want. But on the other hand, it's really, really fantastic to be here. And again, please, for all the guys who come over, fantastic. I think they see the hospitality that they get when they come to Carrick, and I think Michael Becker talked about it, and the moss in the stands and all the stuff. But the hospitality, and by the way, for anyone who's coming on the Investor Summit, if you like a beer, make sure you're ready on the Thursday, because Jody and me and Adrian, we have a tour planned. So if you like a beer,
there you go.
Make sure you get here early on the Thursday, and Thursday night will be a night to remember.
Nitro Guinness. That's all I need. Nitro
Guinness to start with. Oh, you progress.
You start with the minis.
Yeah.
The shots.
We're not going to tell you where we're taking you, but there will be a tour, and it will be a good tour. So hopefully we'll make it back to the hotel in time for the match. So, it'll be good fun.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you, Chris. Fantastic. We went way over, but it was really, really good. Good information. Thank you for taking your time, answering the questions, and we'll take up the invitation like we did with Jody. We'll definitely get you back on once we get rolling past the transfer and all the cup matches. It would be nice to have you back.
Trying to get Michael on too. I'm waiting for him.
Yeah, that's the next one.
I mean, I like to have Stephen Baxter on. He kind of scares me. I hear him during the telecast because there's no commentator, and I hear F-bombs all the way across the field. And I'm like, man, I don't want to say
he's going to come
to
for you,
mad
Chris.
at me, because we're supposed to have dinner with him at the Owner Summit. And You know, I already told my son, please get my back. You know, he might punch me in the face or something.
Oh boy.
No, that's if you want
Alright.
to speak. If you want to speak to Stephen Baxter, you have to come to the summit. That's the deal. That's the way to do it.
Chris,
So,
it's you. That's on you, Chris.
yeah.
You're gonna be
Chris, if you ask too many hard questions, we might actually put you at his table. Yeah, and then you'll suffer.
challenge.
Yeah.
Challenge. Perfect. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you to all the owners. Thank you to all the listeners, the watchers, everybody. It was fantastic again. Thank you, Peter. And we hope wishing you good luck for Saturday and the upcoming matches as well. And happy holidays to everybody.
Yep. Thanks,
Have a
guys.
good night.
Really
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Take care. Bye.